that's what it's all about when we realize that. I mean, I've actually gone into groups, and I'll say a statement of fact for me is that I don't have any opinions about anything. In fact, people all the time are asking me opinions about politics or the environment or all these things. I tell them I don't have any opinions, and they say, well, how can you live? How practically can you even live in this world? Well, that's where guidance comes in. I mean, you got to have something to take the place of the opinions, and that's where your intuition, your inner listening comes in. It takes over. And it's so beautiful, because that way you don't have to get into debates with anybody. You're not trying to make a point. You're not trying to be right. You're not trying to convince somebody of something. You're not trying to convert somebody. What a beautiful world. We were talking about that last night at dinner, when you're not trying to convert anybody. How happy are you to just be there and feel the love and the connection that's there? Yeah. So I think were we zooming, Bill? Are we getting close to chicken time?
Last one. About 10 minutes.
10 more minutes. Yeah. Okay, we're close to.
We have some beautiful music if you want to listen to a couple of songs before we finish the night.
All this gospel music, huh?
I'd rather listen to a little bit of music.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. But do we have any other topics you'd like to explore? I mean, we just went into a big one called living in the present moment. So it's going.
That's been around for a long time now.
Sure has.
Ramdas?
Yes.
Ramdas.
Be here now.
That's right.
Yes. Yes.
I looked by that.
It's interesting. I just saw a film of Ram Dass in his later years. Ram Dass.
Ram Dass. Oh,
and
yes.
It was called. It had courage in it.
He's American, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's still alive.
Yes. He had a stroke in 1997. And this is what he described in the movie. Here he is. He's laughing. Now he's in his wheelchair, and he's laughing, and he's going, here I was in 1997. He described himself as Mr. Spiritual, because he's written all these books, and he's gone to India and ashrams, and his whole life was dedicated to talking about meditation and spirituality. So in 1997, he said, here I am, Mr. Spiritual, and he starts to have a stroke. And as he's having the stroke, he's just looking up at the ceiling, and he noticed in his mind while he's having the stroke that he wasn't having one thought about God. Not one. He goes, oh my God, here it is, Mr. Spiritual, facing death without one spiritual thought in his mind. You know what he said? He said, that was the most humbling moment of my life. From that point on, he dedicated, that was 1997, he dedicated himself to going even deeper inside, to facing all of his expectations. He had just bought a brand new car, and when he had the stroke, he couldn't drive the car. And he had to face the limits. He always prided himself at taking care of others, and he couldn't stand the thought of being taken care of and receiving. And all those years since 1997 have given him many, many opportunities to see that giving and receiving are the same. That it is such a blessing. So that's what I would say. The ultimate of this whole journey is you start to become very humble. It's a very humbling journey. The more that you go inward, the more you see how little that you know. And it just keees getting more and more profound until you get to a point where you release opinions. You just release all opinions of attempting to say something.
And he was obviously ready for the next level, and circumstances brought that about.
Yes.
And that's how it happens. That's how you progress, isn't it?
Yes.
I think the saying, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature, which comes out of the Bible, is very fitting in that situation.
Yes.
Because our whole attitude changes. Old things are gone. You're a new creature.
Born again, that's the deeper meaning of being born again. Not professing belief in Jesus Christ the man or a belief system, but when the Bible talks about a renewing of your mind in the New Testament, it really means that, renewing of your mind. It means returning your mind to that state of innocence to that state of grace that is prior to time. Because we're also used to thinking of the present moment as in between the past and the future. But it's prior, it's pristine, it's untouched, it's prior to all this time stuff.
You see it in the Dalai Lama's face, don't you?
Yeah, twinkling eyes.
Yeah,
And
the way he laughs is just fantastic.
yes, yes.
Are you on Ramdas still?
No, he was just an example we were talking.
Yeah, he has survived his stroke. He's
Yes.
still alive.
Yes.
What about being and doing? You're talking about.
Being and doing. She's asking a question about being and doing. Well, to believe in the ego is to believe in the body and to believe in the busyness and lack, which is where the doing arises in this world. Run here, we were talking about that, you and I at
But
lunch.
we still have to work for our keep, don't we? We still have to do.
But you can be while you're doing
Yeah.
it.
Yes. And in terms of doing, you might say, there is a very famous book from the Sufi mystic Khalil Gibran, the prophet. And he says, in the title on work, he says, when you work, work with love. St. Augustine, a very famous Christian mystic saint, said, love and do what you will. In other words, we have to be very clear about our motivation, because as long as we're confused about our motivation, then we can get into a lot of ego distractions. Even people that get into service, trying to be service to others, can get burned out if they're following the ego, because they feel like they're sacrificing something. They feel like, oh, I'm doing all this for others, but this isn't really for me. But if you're truly in the Spirit, what you're doing is for everyone, including yourself. So I know even with the Course in Miracles, I've had friends who tell me, oh, I went into the prison systems, I traveled, I went everywhere, but I'm burned out. And whenever you get burned out, then it's a humbling moment to start to come back and say,
Is it
what's
because
going on?
they're trying to change the world?
Still the subtle thing of trying to change the world or save the world.
Because it's in your mind. What you're trying to fix out there is something that's unhealed in yourself. Constantly looking for it and trying to save it out there. I mean, you're never going to do it. It's not out there.